Hey, welcome everybody, François Letarte for my role-playing channel, and I'd like to share an unpopular opinion. I don't know if it's unpopular, but I feel that I'm one of the few things that way about the Dungeons and Dragons. It will be about Dungeons and Dragons. How can I say it? I think the last edition of that game, the last edition of the game that had that name on it, that has that name, last great edition that in the regard of how you approach the rules and what is the intent of the game, I think the last great game of that had the name Dungeons and Dragons was 3.0 edition. From 3.5 and after, still a great game, but something has changed, in my opinion, in my way to approach a game. I may be wrong, but let me explain. Why do I think this? Well, when that game first came out 50 years ago, mostly, it was a toolbox. Okay, Gary Gygax created a toolbox with some rules and guidelines, but in the end he was saying, for the rest, play with the game, change it, make up your rules to fit what you need. Okay, and every editions that came after this one was with the same mindset. Okay, you take the rules and you do whatever you want. So advanced first and second edition, and okay, all the different basic version that came in between were pretty much toolbox and guidelines to help you create your story and mold the rules to your need. Even if on the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons cover it was written official, it wasn't official at all. Even Gary Gygax himself, in the few last moments of his life on his blog, was sharing with us other versions of Dungeons and Dragons he thought about for himself, and it came out with some very interesting and different rules, but the base guidelines were there. So he house ruled something over the game he created many years before. So in regards of toying with the rules, 3.0 was also, I feel, that mindset. Okay, yes, it was a big turn for the game. It was a pretty big break from what was done before. I do admit this. This was a different rule set. The D20 system was born, and but it still had that same mindset as, well, this is guidelines. Okay, a huge guideline with lots of details, but nevertheless, these were guidelines, and toy with the rules. Remember those days when 3rd edition came out first, and the D20 OGL was the new thing. You entered a role-playing store, and it was very exciting. Was it good? Was it bad for the role-playing scene? Well, whatever it was, you could see how many hundreds of publishers took the D20 system and toyed with it to offer us some third-party things about whatever you wanted. Okay, it somehow someone would have done it and came out with his rules and tweaks and all of that, all based upon the basic guidelines of 3rd edition. And I feel that it was highly encouraged. Okay, they wanted to have us in our hand a clear, depends, it was pretty crunchy, but a guideline for us to play with. Okay, that is my feeling, and that's why I love the 3rd edition so much. Back then, I wasn't a big fan of 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I played a lot of that, but nevertheless, when 3rd edition came out, I was pretty excited because the game mechanic was more appealing to me. Okay, more unified, more modular. Okay, more options, and you could play with it. You could house rule easily. Well, you can do that with any role-playing games, by the way. You know that. Okay, you could do that with 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons if you. Okay, but my feeling is that after that, from 3.5 and after, I feel that the games weren't encouraging you into doing that. Of course, you could do that. You could take the rules and do whatever you want, but I feel that the core of the game is more formatted. Okay, they kind of pigeonhole you into something from the creation. I remember people complaining about 3.0, it's unbalanced, it's broken, and after all the complaints, 3.5 came out. 3.5 fixed the issues the community had, many of the community members had, and they were happy with that, and that's pretty okay. But I feel that the issue that were repaired, if I can say it that way, kind of cut down the suggestion that you could play with the rules. Because if you play from what it was suggested in those books, you could break the rules and bring it back to what it was when it was only 3.0. I don't know. It's just my feeling. The first time I got that 3.5 books in my hand, never bought them, but I had a campaign, 3.0 campaign, that was really good, going very well. We had a lot of fun, but one of the player was up to date. I bought himself 3.5 and said, oh, it's pretty, it's really better. And he handed me the book and I flipped through it, and I already felt that I was kind of being constrained by what was in there. Felt like the game showed you how to play it instead of you using the game for whatever you want. Okay, you were felt like constrained. That's a feeling. And if 4.0, okay, you could house rule 4th edition, which is a very well made game, by the way. The 4th edition, I look at this edition with high regards, but it's pretty codified, so you can't really go out of what is there. You can if you want, but the game is not meant for that. And 5th edition, I think it's even worse. I feel that you are quite pigeonholed into different classes, even though it feels like it has more flexibility than 4th edition in terms of mathematics. But even then, I don't feel the freedom of coming up with something I would like to do with the game. Okay, I can take that freedom. And to tell the truth, for the times I played 5th edition, I was taking that freedom. But while reading the book, I didn't feel that it was really encouraged. Yes, there was some mention of that into the Dungeon Master's Guide, but you know, when I take 3rd edition, I like to do rulings and stuff, and I felt 3rd edition was letting me that, even though there was lots of parameters to take into account since it was crunchier. But that's why I'm saying that in regard of one of the things that made that game so cool, one of the main thing, the toolbox that was in the regard of the toolbox that was created, okay, I think the 3rd edition 3.0 was the last one to keep that in mind, to sell you that aspect of the game. I think that makes it such a great game. So now, after 3.0, I know that it flipped the table for a lot of players around the world, and many players questioned the hobby itself from that point. So innovations came about, and the OSR took over took over some of the gamers and brought back that aspect of the game that was lost from 3.5. Some may say to you that from 3.0, they have already lost it, but in my opinion 3.0 was still there. Even though it was a very different game, it was still there. I really love 3.0 because it feels like a toolbox. Will I ever play Dungeons and Dragons 3.0 again? I don't know. I have other projects, but I do keep it in my shelf because I'd like to maybe come back to it and try to take it as a toolbox, okay, and run some fantasy games with it. I don't know, but it was a great time when I played this. I have fond memories of the time I spent with that game, and I do think that it's the last time I really fully enjoyed playing a game that was called Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, I don't say that I didn't have fun with, let's say, Pathfinder. I had a great campaign as a player, and 5th edition. Every time I'm sitting down with people playing 5th edition, yes, we're having a blast, but there's something in between games. I don't know if I did the video of that, but I've kind of sold all my 5th edition stuff. I just don't want to get related in any way with that game. I have other more interesting game to run, so why keep a game I don't feel the need to play with? But nevertheless, it was a big ramble, but yeah, feel free to comment and all of that. So my name is François Letarte for my role-playing channel, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.